Hey everybody, welcome back to Deserts of Plenty. My name is Ralph. Um, my whole life I've been exposed to little sayings. We used to a long time ago call them, in some cases, old wives' tales, bits of wisdom, um, little things that get handed down. And was exposed to many of them growing up, and for the most part, really never questioned them. It's all just part of the kind of conditioning that goes along with all of us as we grow up in our society and our cultures and our schools and our families and all that. And one of the ones that I was exposed to was seeing is believing. If I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. And that makes total sense. That in the case of certain stories, and yeah, it was used like most things in a hyperbolic sense. uh someone unexpected scored the winning run. Well, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't have believed it. And but that expression also relates to incredible things. Anyway, that statement I heard and probably said it hundreds of times. And then one time I was had a acting teacher who said, "You know that statement?" He said, that's backwards. It's really, if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't have seen it." And when I heard that, I was like, "That's absolutely right." I mean, I guess you could both ways are correct. There are things that I guess I wouldn't have believed if I didn't see. I think. uh, I don't know. I've never really thought about that statement. The truth of it. Are there things that I wouldn't have believed if I hadn't seen? And I think there are things that I would believe if I hadn't seen. But in large part, yes, believing is seeing. And I've talked about that previously, so I won't go into detail. But just for an example, like uh, ghosts. If you believe in ghosts, you see evidence of them. If you don't believe in ghosts, you don't see evidence of them. The same with God. If you believe in God, you see evidence of his, her, their work everywhere. If you don't believe in God, you don't see that. If you believe, you're unlucky, you know, confirmation bias, you'll see lots of evidence of times you're unlucky, but the times you're lucky, you won't see them because they don't confirm your bias, so you tend to overlook them. But that's one of those statements that when you investigate the opposite of it. And so I do like to look at the opposite of things quite a lot. But today I just want to bring up another one of these ones that these statements that when you think about it, because it seems on the face of it to be against sort of common sense or what you would think. But when you really start thinking about it, it becomes absolutely, in my view anyway, it becomes, if not absolutely true, quite true, and more true of the opposite way. I'm a big fan of, like, um, I say pop psychology, but psychology. You remember the poster of the cat? It's just like, just hang in there, baby. And I always remember that poster because it's cute and it's kitsch, but also it's true. Just hang in there, persevere. And it's a nice statement, but to me, it's kind of meaningless without that. Well, how? How do I do that? Don't know where I'm going with that, but I guess this one there is a how do you do it? And anyway, the statement is, and I got this from Brianna Wiest or West. I guess it's Wiest, but I like it a lot, and it's about routines and having a routine. And this is not an exact quote, but close enough. Having a routine frees us of the burden of having to make choices. And I heard that and I was like, oh, yes, that's true. But again, it flies in the face of, we all like freedom and freedom to choose, and making choices is part of, I think what human beings think they like. But in reality, we don't really like choices. In fact, there's a thing called choice paralysis. And if you've ever stood in front of the salad dressing aisle at a grocery store, you know what that is. It's like there's too many options. Or being at a restaurant and having a menu with 30 items, it becomes impossible. And Psychologically, if you give people about five to seven choices, that's a good amount, and they will make a choice, and they will be happy with one. But if you give someone 30 choices, they will eventually make a choice and then come to second guess that choice continually. Um, and that's one thing about routines. And I was listening to David Lynch and boy, I forget the name of the other person, but very creative people, and they were very much about their routine, the routine of their everyday life, like what to have for lunch, what time to get up, when to go to the gym, all that stuff, because it freed them from having to make a choice. Like if you get up, and you go to the gym at 9 o'clock, you just go. But if every day you go, well, I could go to the gym or I could do this other thing, we tend to choose the thing that in the short term will be the more expedient. But not having a choice, sticking to a routine, like 9 o'clock or whatever, I go to the gym, that's it. I don't even think about it. I just put on my shoes and go. It frees you of the burden of having to make a choice. And every time we make a choice, there's a good chance that we'll make a bad one. And when I say bad, I mean that's a poorer outcome for us in the long run. That's what I think about choices. Like I try to make the choices that in the short term are tough, but in the long run will be a benefit, right? Going to the gym in the short term is a tough choice, but in the long run, boy, that's so much better for you, assuming you don't hurt yourself. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it short. Uh, and that just to leave you with that idea of having routines frees us from the choice, the burden of having to make a choice. I remember, going to Blockbuster with one, even by myself, it was hard enough. But then when you're with your family and you're trying to find a movie that you can all agree upon, oh boy, in that case, choice is not so good. Um, and I don't know about you, but for me, uh, sitting down, and pulling up a streaming service, Netflix or Prime or Crave or HBO or whatever, and trying to decide on what to watch is hard. What was easy is growing up, I had like three choices. That was always easy to pick something to watch. And generally, I liked it. I mean, sometimes there was nothing on and I'd have to do something drastic like go for a walk or read something, God forbid. But yeah, I think definitely choice paralysis is a thing. And having too many choices and will make us tend to regret the choice we make. Whereas if choice is limited, and that bears out in so many things from programming to music to online dating, with too many options comes hmm what if I am choosing the wrong thing. And yeah, and so what I like to do now, especially when it comes to my day-to-day things, is I have a routine. And the more I solidified that routine coming out of COVID, and it's now been 2 years. Uh, A, the more I get done. B, the happier I am. Um, and I'm trying to organize my life even more so to remove as much as is possible the choice part of sort of the mundane, if I could say, parts of my day. And by mundane, I mean the things I do every day that are just sustaining, like, meditating, going for a run, going to the gym, lunch. Like these things I try to keep very the same, if not day to day. Like my breakfast is the same, but my dinner will rotate. But on Monday, I have pretty much the same thing. Tuesday, pretty much the same thing with minor variations. And I find that remarkably satisfying and easy. It's not that long ago that I remember like every day. agonizing over what I'm going to eat today. And does that sound familiar? And now I don't, because I know, oh, it's Wednesday. It's gonna one of these two things. Saturday is one of these two or three options. And, you know, I can't tell you how much freeing that is. So, routine frees us from the burden of making choices. And it actually, for me, has been quite liberating and quite freeing in a weird, in a weird way. It's freeing. It feels very free to just do the same thing all the time. Anyway, that's my time for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time here on Deserts Aplenty. Take care. Bye.